get people around you who know the things you don't know, and who have the same passion as you about the business. Because when you're running a creative business and you're a creative, I found personally that I want to sit down and I want to make the things. And like you were saying in your question, that's not always the case when you're running a business. And having those people around you just allows you to do what you love while you allow them to do the rest of the things.
Welcome to Make Art, the podcast that helps creatives get creative. Our community of entrepreneurs will show you how to turn your passion into a sustainable income-generating endeavor. Broadcasting from Cape Town, South Africa, here's your host, Jerome Rex.
Hello friends, this is Make Art. This is the podcast that encourages and inspires you to get creative and get out there and yes, make art. You do indeed have a responsibility to contribute to society and share your creativity with those around you. We know that art enriches spaces, it enriches our daily lives, it makes life for some people bearable, it makes life for some people worth living. And I have here tonight with me Tim Stuurman. His superpower is that he is what is the word I'm looking for? He is just a career entrepreneur, I would say. This guy can't help himself. He just cannot bear not being entrepreneurial. It is in his fiber, it is in his character. He's a business owner. He makes amazing t-shirt designs as well. I think that's more for fun than for profit. He's an entrepreneur, as I said, a business coach, a singer, a fast car enthusiast. Tim, good evening.
Good evening, Jerome. It's lovely to be here.
Dope having you here. It's
Thank
lekker
you,
to have you with us. Another disclaimer, I did this when Demi was in studio. I just want our listeners also to know that we have just had burger and chips. So if the energy levels are not 100% on par, then that is why, these things, they tend to have a calming effect. On individuals. Tim, you do so many things. A question I love asking is, what is your primary thing? If somebody asks you, what do you do, then what would you say?
Well, I'll call myself a visual communications strategist. Does that sound good, eh? Sounds
Damn!
good.
I love it.
Yeah, so I take everything visual. I tell people I make things look pretty. And I guess that translates over to like how people perceive things and how things play out in their minds after they've seen it, what the emotional reactions are to them. So all those kind of things. That's kind of in a nutshell, on a high level, what I do.
Okay, now that's very well said. So you take abstract ideas, you take this brief that people bring to you, and you turn that into something visual and something real.
Exactly that. Exactly that. You've got it spot on.
Okay, great. What I love about you, Tim, is that when one approaches you for design work, I know Adele and I, my wife and I, we used your services for a brand identity project, and I was very keen for Adele to sit down with you and talk to you and have, that initial briefing meeting. Because I knew you were going to ask some questions, man. And maybe we don't have the answers to all those questions, but they are good questions and they are questions that prompt further introspection and further research and so forth. And that I also, besides the obvious visual aspect of what you do, I would personally highlight that when I sell your services to other people and I brag about you. I say, "Kiki, this Tim guy, yes, he can draw, but this thing that he does, man."
Yeah.
Okay, so Tim, when I met you, you were running a design studio, Nicebeard Studios.
That's correct, yeah.
You the graphic design predominantly for
That's
people.
That's correct, yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of myself here.
That's correct.
Okay, can you unpack a little bit? What was Nicebeard as an entity? What is Nicebeard rather as an entity? And then also, how did the idea originate? Where did the idea come from?
Okay, let's maybe start from the beginning.
There we go. That's what I want to hear.
Look, I did my whole high schooling career and I had some sort of an inkling in my head that there was something that I wanted to do within the graphic design space. I used to appreciate things, I think, visually quite a lot. I always say regarding the girls I dated, none of them were ugly. So that's that's probably the visual the visual strategy that I had in mind.
It took me a long time to get that. Okay, carry on.
So I mean, I've always had an appreciation for things that were aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
I'm on a visual level, and I didn't think much would come out of that. I think coming through high school, I always had that inkling in the back of my head. You know, you go and do something that's going to make you money and set you up. And it was never really encouraged by society to go into art or into something that would be more, you know, predominantly geared towards the artistic side of life. Even studying a BA was perhaps looked down upon. I luckily didn't get that from my parents. And that was something that I really thoroughly enjoyed. And so getting into university after high school, I became second year I became the leader of PR for the student body.
Okay. And what did that entail?
Yeah, so that kind of entailed communicating to people through mails and stuff, but also visually, that an event's going to happen here, or this thing's happening on campus now, or you kind of, you know, those kind of things. So I played kind of that role there early, and there I started dabbling now in using software to create.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you fall into that role because you can draw?
No, it was look, I think I had that passion to begin with, and I wanted to do it, and so I had the opportunity to put myself in that space.
As an outlet.
As an outlet, and so I did that. I said, okay, I'm happy to fulfill this role, and it comes with all these things, and I want to do all these things, which was design, communications. I was also studying that at the time. So that made it quite easy for me to just, you know, throw myself at it. I literally threw myself at it, not really knowing, you know, what it was all about. I think the first piece of software I used was something called Ronyasoft Poster Forge, which was like this random piece of software that was just there.
Yeah, that's quite random. I don't think
That's
I've ever
very
heard of
random.
that.
Yeah, and so I started designing posters and stuff in there. And doing through that communications, that's kind of where I got my foot into the door of graphic design in university. So yeah, after that I started working at a company as a writer. So
Which is like drawing with words.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So I started working in a company as a writer. I wrote articles in some newspapers, Fin24, things like that, within the business sector. So really looking at developing youth within the business sector, getting interns into companies, and just helping to boost the employment. The youth employment was very low at the time. I think it's still not very good, but youth employment was low, and we were trying to solve that. And so I started writing articles. At some point, the company, which I guess was, a God thing. The company then needed a graphic designer. And once again, I threw myself at the opportunity.
Yeah.
And, I started growing in that role there. And that opened my mind to a whole lot of other things. And because I was in business development, considering taking what I'm learning here in the graphic design space and applying the business development stuff to that in order to grow my business. And that's how Nice Beard Studios was born.
Okay. Okay. There's so much to be said for just saying yes, eh?
Yes.
When an opportunity comes your way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not to think about all the reasons why you shouldn't be doing it, but just grabbing it with both hands.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, thanks for unpacking that for me. So your career, your business was based off of visual art. And for me, that's really striking because you've built for yourself a very successful enterprise of visual art. You know, you draw for a living for a long time since I've known you. That's kind of what you did. And that's something that I found uncommon at the time. It's becoming more prevalent now.
Yeah.
But certainly when you were starting out, it wasn't common. It wasn't mainstream.
Yeah.
You know, and you managed to build it into quite a serious concern. And so my question following on that is around the topic of Nice Beard and this design studio that you gave birth to. How did you manage to position Nice Beard as a premium brand? I think everybody, okay, let me not say I think everybody, because I don't know. But I think everybody, you kind of, if you're a freelance artist or you work in the creative space, you want to kind of position yourself as a premium provider because you want premium clients because those are the people who pay the premium money.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Was that challenging for you positioning yourself as a premium brand?
If I were honest, the answer to that question is no. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I like I said, I really threw myself at designing. I really threw myself at it. I really started getting deep into the softwares. I started really looking and absorbing art and other design and other designers and appreciating them. And what then happened as a result is that my work improved. And because my work improved, other people saw that. And I was then basically called upon to do things. So it was like word of mouth that kind of moved me. So to look at, if you say that was it difficult to position myself, it was probably a very long, grueling process. But because I loved what I did and I love what I do today still, it didn't feel like that.
Yeah. It didn't feel like work.
It didn't feel like work.
Like
is
hard
what
work.
I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like work. It ended up being that. And I think that says something for, I guess, following your passion and following really what you love. I don't feel like I worked. I definitely did spend sometimes nights on deadlines.
Yeah. 12-hour days, 14-hour days.
Yes, 24 hours sometimes, like nonstop. But I love what I do. And so that process of getting there as a premium designer was not something I spent a lot of time thinking about. It just happened because I was doing.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is, first of all, be good. Like, if you want to be charging a premium rate for your service, best it be a premium service in the first place.
Yeah, but do what you love.
Yeah.
But yes. Just be good and throw yourself at the thing you love to do.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a question, a follow-on question. This is from your perspective as a business coach and somebody who gives startups this kind of advice, or enterprises, going concerns, this kind of advice. There is, in my mind, room for some people to kind of move their brand upscale.
Yes.
And get the juicy clients for paying the big bucks. Is there similarly a space for somebody who decides, listen, I'm just a volume businessman. I'm about the turnover, and I'll do 300 Rand flyers all day long. I'll make sure I do 300 Rand flyers a month in order to pay the bills. How does one draw the distinction between those two? How do you decide, okay, I'm there, or what I'm doing here, this is kind of my ceiling?
Look, I think there are levels to this thing. And I think that the person who is the volume business, there's definitely a place for him. There's definitely a place for that within the market. Developing yourself up again as a premium brand is when people start looking at their brand more strategically and not necessarily looking at exactly, this mom and pop business down the road needs flyers to sell their kusisters, or their, that volume business will go and do that and do it quickly because they need to move product quickly in order to sustain the business. On a premium level, you're looking at more, okay, what is this thing saying? What is this thing doing? How is this coming across? And there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. It's not just the visual, it's the messaging, it's the emotion behind it, It's all those things that an advertising agency basically does and looks deeper into the product and how it's affecting the buyer and the consumer. And all those things kind of come into play. So I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You're getting to the answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to, before you go on, I want to just also make the disclaimer that I am not saying that. I'm not saying that to do the volume business is necessarily subpar or inferior
It's
work.
not.
Because
It's
like you're saying,
absolutely not.
like
Yeah.
you're saying, there are levels.
Yes.
There is a gap in the
Yeah.
market for that.
So, I mean, let's take this for example, right? You've contracted with a company like, let's say, Cedar. And Cedar are trying to grow these small businesses. And they need volume. They need to move things quickly. They need to get flyers out, business profiles out, and they need to get it done quickly. The volume-based graphic designer is highly successful in a space like that. Now, I'm not saying that you must all run to Cedar, but if you kind of get where I'm coming from, there is a lot of space for volume-based business. And if you're charging that price, 300 Rand for a flyer, whatever, that's okay. That's your space. That's what you fill. And that is, if you're doing volumes, you're making a lot of money. You are making a lot of money. We can't hide away from that.
Yeah.
For example, you will be making 300 Rand the whole year. When it comes to the higher level strategic businesses, we're making 60,000 Rand, 100,000 Rand once every, couple of months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the juxtaposition there, I guess. There's space, there's room for everyone, and there's need for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. And I'm making this distinction, and I'm drawing these parallels just to illustrate exactly what you're talking about. Is that we have in our mind, we have this picture that, okay, I'm the little guy now, but success is when you transcend and you become, the ideas man in the corner office, writing, scribbling his ideas in marker on the glass, a beautiful mind. And that's not necessarily, that's not the only trajectory that there is out there. Yeah. Okay. No. Thanks for clarifying that, and for pointing that out. So then, even if I'm the volumes guy, there are things like you spoke now about approaching Cedar or similar organizations. There are things that I can do. There are ways that I can gear my thinking.
Yeah.
Even the volumes guy, he can think differently. He can gear his thinking to, listen, how can I leverage this thing?
Yes.
Where can I go and find my volumes? And that for me speaks to just people viewing their hobby as something more than a hobby. And what I find is that practically I can as a creative say, I view my creativity as a business. But practically, in terms of the decisions I make, in terms of the way I think about it, and in terms of the way I manage it, it's just a hobby. And similarly, I can be running a business and I can be saying, that this is a serious thing or this is for the love. But practically, in terms of the decisions that you make, that's not always reflected.
Yeah.
What are the symptoms one can look at just to determine that, listen, I am giving this thing the attention that it deserves, man. And I'm not just on the grind here and living in my own mind, I suppose, this fantasy of, now I'm the creative, I'm getting paid for my art, and which is wonderful, which is for many people a dream. But again, there's levels, there are other depths to that. You want to ensure the sustainability of your business.
Yes.
You want to ensure that it's going to be around in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
What can I look at? What are some of the symptoms that I maybe need to be a little bit more serious about my creative expression?
I think. Okay, let's take a personal example. Yeah, I guess. The first thing I realized when I started, when I opened the business, is that I knew I don't know everything. I immediately knew that I don't know everything, and so I spent some time getting people around me. And I think that's a very important point. Get people around you who know the things you don't know, and who have the same passion as you about the business. Having people around you that know will save you so much heartache and toe stampery, and you. I guess getting the right people alongside you just saves you all that. That, how do I just phrase this? It saves you the stress of just not being able to, because when you're running a creative business and you're a creative, I found personally that I want to sit down and I want to make the things. And like you were saying in your question, that's not always the case when you're running a business. And having those people around you just allows you to do what you love while you allow them to do the rest of the things. Now, that comes with having to pay them money and stuff. But if you get a salesperson who is helping you bring in the money, then all that stuff kind of, falls by the side. I again, personally, there's two things I really like to do. I love talking to people. So one-on-one conversations, I like sitting and talking to people. And I found that pulls through when I'm doing sales. I can build good relationships. I can really talk to people and sit down with them. And so talking to people and talking to businesses and going to the bigger businesses and creating relationships with individuals and not necessarily trying to, I must impress the business. No, I'm talking to a person, or I'm talking to a bunch of people in a room. Winning them over kind of has helped me kind of build my sales trajectory. So I've got those passions. I enjoy doing the design, but I also enjoy meeting people. And so my sales, I've been able to run the sales and I've been able to run the doing of the work. But when it comes to accounting,
you're not the guy.
I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. And so I got people I got office admin. I've got someone to deal with that. Hopefully I've covered everything in your question. It's quite a loaded question.
Yes.
If I missed anything, just roll me back.
We'll get there. Get there. Yeah, we've still got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But I quite like what you're mentioning there. I mean, we often talk about it because I know for a time you had launched the t-shirt line.
Yeah.
And then I suppose we'll talk about why.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about why there's no t-shirt line being actively advertised right now. But because of your background in that and your passion for, funky t-shirts and designing cool shirts, you and I kind of hit it off when talking on the subject. And I know at one point we had spoken about, listen, can't you just get some admin person to run the t-shirt business, man? Because all it is, you've done the design, was now up front.
Yeah.
All it is was now admin. Somebody is going to watch the mailbox.
Yep.
They count the money.
Yep.
They place the order.
Yep.
They make sure the customer gets the thing. And they can take a commission. They'll take the 20 rand a shirt or whatever the case, depending on how big your margin is. And I do think that there's room for us to think like that when it comes to the creative things that we are busy with.
Of course.
You don't have to do those things. And you also have to pay this person out of your pocket.
Yes.
Because if they, like you say, get a salesperson,
yes.
If you're getting an admin person to run your t-shirts, then they are paying themselves.
Of course,
But the challenge is finding someone, Tim.
That is the challenge. And usually it's got to be someone who's passionate about the same thing that you are, for example, if someone if someone loves sales, for example, we take sales again. If someone loves sales and just the challenge of selling something new into the market, they'll be very happy to come on board and challenge themselves in order to get this thing going. And the people exist. I've had couple of people come into my office with that drive. They just you've got this product and we want to help you sell it. And so they build their networks, or they coming to your side and say, what networks do you have? What can we sell readily into? And this is the plan for building the network larger. I think I've covered it.
Where do you find those people? But they just came into your office.
They did.
So you were lucky.
I was lucky in that regard. There were literally people. I think it was a tough time financially. We had just come out of the recession, I think, at the time, or there was some financial crisis, and people were just generally looking for stuff to do.
Okay.
And I had walk-ins. I did have walk-ins, and I had some DMs and stuff in my inbox. But they exist, and they're around. And even if you put out adverts, you know, or even look, sometimes it's just looking closer to home. Sometimes it's looking closer to home. People in your space are struggling, and sometimes we don't know. And so pulling them in and saying, "Yo, listen, I'm doing this thing, and it could be lucrative for the both of us. I need to eat, you need to eat. Let's do something together."
This is powerful advice because the situation you are describing is not unlike the situation we are finding ourselves in right now.
Exactly.
You know, there might be people out there, like competent people, qualified people who want to do something.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so one should be looking around.
Of course, yeah.
You are actually really inspiring me to open my eyes and look around and see what I need. Maybe I can find someone out there. And that's really the beauty of entrepreneurship, is that it's about creating opportunities for people and creating jobs for people.
You know what it really is? It's about creating relationships. It's all about creating relationships. You'll find that later on these relationships bear unbelievably powerful fruit. And some of them don't, some bridges get burnt in the process. But it's really all about building good relationships. Money seems to flow from that. Being able to eat and pay your bills just seems to be a natural occurrence from building relationships and helping each other out and doing these things. It just seems to flow naturally.
Sure. There you have it. I'm sorry, like, that's just such a powerful statement. It's just such a powerful statement. I don't want to cheapen it with like a suitcase response. That's why I was just like, yo, what now? Okay, so we spoke about getting people around you. We spoke about just finding people who are passionate about the things that you are not necessarily passionate about, but that share common interests and common goals and so forth. So my question is a strategic one. It's like, what is the one thing you would say somebody needs to have when they want to start a new business? What's the first thing I must get? It's the most important thing.
This is a family-friendly podcast. No, look, I had a conversation. I decided to go out on my own, and the one company, I told my boss, look, I've decided to go out on my own. And she was very, sad about it, but wanted to have a coffee with me so we could discuss this. And she's sitting across from me. And I ask her this question. I say, how do people make millions off of designing a logo for a company? How do people make so much money in the creative space? And she said, well, Timothy, the only reason they're making that much money is because they have the balls to ask for it.
Sure. Yeah.
And this comes from, a lady who's really, really, really been successful. Lost many businesses, built many very, very big businesses, and built some very strong relationships with some very big companies. And it's basically been the theme, how you value your work tends to roll out in how in your confidence, and then in how you charge for it. Again, that rolls all the way back to my first comment. You kind of got to be good.
Yes.
In the first place. You know?
Need to be good to begin with.
You need to be good to begin with. And that, we're talking about the creative space, but it kind of also rolls into doing, again, what you are passionate about. Otherwise, you're undercutting yourself and you're trying to charge something for something you're not necessarily meant or bred and born to do. But that's another conversation.
It's such a challenge culturally. We're in Cape Town. There isn't a culture of valuing the creative arts in general. A guitarist is going to get paid 300 Rand to go and play a whole day at a wedding. How does one, in that culture, how do you walk in there and say, okay, I'm going to start charging the prices that I want to charge?
So in my business, I pinned it against risk. Let's take a guitarist, for example. You will pay that guy this amount. He's cheaper than I am, but he's going to come and make several mistakes. and your show's not going to be that good. Or he's coming to your recording session and you're going to spend more time tracking him. Where I come in and I promise you I can do it the first time around. And it will be perfect.
Yeah.
You end up saving, and basically I'm charging you the money that you're going to save. Maybe a bit less.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So, I mean, in the creative space, I find it with design as well. Look, we need to get this right, because you've decided you're going to print it on your wall, on boxes, on T-shirts, on all of these things. You've said you want to have it laser cut into wood. You've said you want to have it, made vinyls and all those kind of things. For that, we need a very specific design. I know what that is. And so I'm going to take your ideas. I'm going to match it with exactly what you wanted to do. And we're going to come out with something that is risk-free to you. You won't have to do this process again. We'll get it right. So pay me this amount of money to get it right. Otherwise, pay him that amount of money and do it 4 times.
Yes, and end up paying the same amount anyway. Yeah, okay. And of course, you come with that experience. You've done the things.
Yes.
You know what's happening.
Yeah.
The things that are immediately springing to mind for me are also like the more common etiquette kind of things, man. The job's gonna be done on time.
Yes.
You're gonna know where I am at all points during the conversation. You know, it's the same like with the guitarist. He's not gonna show up 15 minutes after the bride.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, not at all. You know, it is kind of a you get what you pay for situation.
Yeah.
Okay. No, thanks for that, Tim. So, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, what is the scariest thing about being the guy holding the bag, the main peanut in the packet?
The whole thing is scary. It's a roller coaster ride. Everything about it is very scary. If you go into the space, be ready to be challenged on a fundamental level. There's been many times where it's been so tough for me that I've laid down on the studio floor and cried. So just so you get an understanding of how rough this can get.
It's not just all sports cars.
It's not just all sports cars and nice
and
things.
meetings at the Cape Grace.
No. It's not just all that.
It's those things too, though.
Yeah, it's all those things too. So, trying to, and you learn later on to just keep a level head. When it's going really well, keep a level head. When it's going really bad, keep a level head.
Wow.
It kind of pushes you into that as you go along. It is like the whole thing is scary. Don't get it twisted. It is a very scary thing. But again, going back to having the right people around you and having people you can lean on and depend on, that's exponentially important. Whether it be someone in your space that's your partner or whatever that's holding you down in that space, a business partner, just someone in the office that can help you, or be it a business mentor that you've approached, who's been through all these things already and who cares about, you getting to where you need to be. Those are some powerful tools to have around. It's all scary and it's all wonderful. It's everything packaged into one.
Thank you for being so vulnerable, Tim. Because
No.
I look at you and I think, this man's fearless. This man's not afraid.
No. I get very scared.
I love when you said, keep a level head. Because it reminds me so much. I used to do sales training.
Okay.
And a thing I would say often to people is, listen, guys, the bad times, they don't last. Mm-hmm. And the good times, they don't last.
That's right. Uh-huh.
So, Tim, you also worked on an annual event, the Natural Hair Festival. You were involved. When people see your picture, they're going to realize that you don't have hair. Yes. Only other people who don't have hair can say that, no? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you actually ran a very, very successful Natural Hair Festival. It started out in Muizenberg at, I think it was the Civic Center. It was a hall there, and then it went to the CTICC, which is like the event space in Cape Town today. And what I really thought would be helpful is if we have people listening who are independent artists or independent creatives, if you are an artist at all at some point in your life, even if you're an entrepreneur, I suppose, a business owner, at some point you are going to have to play the role of events organizer,
Yeah.
of events or a coordinator, or of a promoter. And I just thought it would be really helpful if you could share some of the things that facilitated that journey and that
Okay.
growth
I
from
think-
the small space to the big space.
Yeah, wait. Let me preface this by saying that my role with the Natural Hair Festival was very supportive, and less so on a operational level. There were 5 very talented ladies that ran it. That was
Well, there's your answer right there.
yeah. So that was 5 very talented ladies, and my role was mainly just supporting at the time my ex-wife. And you know, on an emotional level and on a physical level, Kat being the heavy lifter, and then, you know, some strategic roles on the side to try and open her way of thinking in that space. I think the 5 ladies did a great job, and what was beautiful about that space is that I learned so much from them. And actually being involved in that as in a supporting role. I think I learned quite a bit from that. So getting back to your question then, you've got to be the events organizer as a artist as well. Yeah, events are probably, looking back at the hair festival itself, you get to learn very quickly that events are a very, very difficult thing to run smoothly. You've got to think of so many things and juggle so many balls that it can be quite daunting. As an artist, when you are, I guess, having to organize your own events, a lot of artists are creative enough to know what they want to do, and then again, artists should. It's very difficult because I'm an artist myself.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm an artist myself. It's very difficult because of how we sit on the hierarchy of society. Let's perhaps get into this a little bit. In the hierarchy of society, it's a very simple pyramid. You know, the people on top are the people on top, and the people at the bottom are the people at the bottom. And people move up and down the hierarchy depending on how they work or what they do or how opportunities they get. The artist, unfortunately, sits outside of the hierarchy and looks down on the hierarchy from a very high place.
Ouch.
And it's lonely there. It's very lonely. And we tend to, I mean, a lot of artists, visual artists who draw very provocative stuff about what's happening in the world. It's clear that they sit above this hierarchy and that they can look down on it and see things that other people can't see and bring a new spin and light onto this. Musicians, Jerome, yourself as a musician, some of the stuff you write are very thought-provoking, and you just see things in a different light that other people don't see. And so with creating certain events, artists know exactly what they want and how they want to set it. You know for yourself, rooftop, some of the events you've hosted, it's just amazing. And so it's very important to, I guess, for all artists who are doing those events and setting up those events, to link the practical with their ideas, and then if they find that they are weak on the practical stuff, again, get people around you to help. Get the people around you to help. I know with the VAIR Festival, I think the CTICC one that the ladies were hosting, they got someone to assist with the event prep. It's very important. If in your journey as an artist you feel stressed by anything, and you feel like you don't know, it's important to create relationships where you can just reach out and ask for assistance. As an artist, I know I find it very difficult. I found it very difficult to reach out to people who have asked me to reach out to them. And it's just it's not an ego thing. There's a couple of feelings around it, and it's been difficult for me, but I've learned to get over it and to put my foot down. And so, yeah, if you are someone who's going to host your own event, just make sure that you are able to know when you take an introspective look at yourself and know when you need to release certain things.
Okay, yeah. Again, easier said than done.
Easier said
because
than
this
done.
is your baby. I don't want to let go of
Yes.
it. Yeah, but it's something that I've noticed with you that you are. Okay, I don't know what the process is, the behind the scenes process that leads up to that point, but you seem comfortable letting things go and allowing other people to run. Because in addition to the Natural Hair Festival, which is an annual thing, you also ran a monthly event. You first did an expression session island.
That's correct.
At your venue, which
yeah.
was about 30-40 people,
Yeah.
and then you did a smaller thing, a mixed room jam,
Yes.
which was also a monthly
Yeah.
thing, which was again on a smaller scale. And I got the sense that you were quite comfortable
Yes.
allowing the next person.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, it's extremely important. Doesn't mean you're not physically running around and actually doing things. You can't lazy see. You know, you've actually got to put work into it. But know where your weaknesses are, man.
Yeah.
As artists, it's very difficult. I personally felt like early on in my development of things, started developing an ego. And I realized it was harmful. It was very harmful to the work I was doing. And so, learning to say, you know what, I don't know how to do this, right? Can you show me? Can you help me? Can you do it for me? Sometimes it's just not in you to do. Sometimes you don't even have the physical ability to do it. Get someone in to assist. There is so much power in collaboration and in giving something up, giving something over. It allows you to be happy and do what you do, and allows other people into your space to do what they love doing in that space. So you're kind of helping everyone out in that space, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tim, this has just been such a great conversation. And when I talk to you, I really see the power of, okay, I'm now, I suppose, at a different stage in life to you. You know, I got children.
Oh, yeah.
They are getting older. But I see the power of modeling an entrepreneurial lifestyle for your children. You know, you saw that in your parents.
I saw that in my dad. Yeah. Very much so. My dad's a serial entrepreneur. Oh, he loves the hustle. He loves making money, and he's successful in his own right. He's got a very, 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 big career. He brands himself as a solutions architect.
Ooh.
So even that's
classy.
a lovely, classy word.
Yeah.
So yeah, he seeing that, and then he got that from a fishmonger.
Okay.
So he learned the hustle and the entrepreneurial skills from a fishmonger who, when there wasn't fish, used to go, "Wait, we need to make money today. Let's go to the farms and get vegetables and fruits and sell that." So that hustle and that entrepreneurial vibe was really in him. So it's kind of been carried through from generation to generation, and it's definitely in me. I've recently felt that there's no other way of being for me on this earth than to do that.
Oh, without question, it's in you. Without question, you've got that drive. And I believe it's so important. It's important for young people to see that. It's important for older people to see that. It's important for our children to see that
modeled, yes.
Because I believe fully that the future of this country is going to be built on the back of business owners and entrepreneurs. It's not people who are out to look for a job, because those are in short supply anyway.
Yes, that's true.
But there are needs out there that need to be met, and so there are opportunities.
Oh, yes.
And that kind of drive, that kind of thinking is what unlocks those opportunities and turns them into things that solve problems and make money, hopefully. Okay, Tim, we're going to call it. But before we do, I do want to give you just a little bit of space. Can you talk to me about what it is that you are busy with now? If people want to follow you or learn more about you, where can they find you on social media? You're a singer. This guy sings. You guys, you're a guitarist. You picked up the guitar, and then a month later, you were playing the guitar at big festivals and singing. This is all true. It's all true.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I think, there's quite a few things happening now. I'm picking up the Timothy Stuurman brand, which would be my own personal freelance brand, under my name. And that will be doing very much the same visual communication strategy work that I've been doing. And I'm very happy to take calls and messages and DMs should you require any sort of, assistance with your visual stuff, be it social media, be it design logos, anything visual, anything that you feel could boost the way your business looks, I'm the guy who can assist you with that. And yeah, I would be very happy to take your DMs and respond to you and assist you. And then I think the most exciting thing I'm busy with now is to do with mental health and just your emotional IQ. So I've partnered with Mindflip, a company that does coaching, personal coaching and business coaching, and through them some of their networks as well. And we are hosting on the first Thursday of December a webinar for people who may have experienced certain traumas, especially this year because it's been COVID-19 and there's been a lot of loss, a lot of family members lost to COVID-19 and various other things. We've decided to put together a little webinar where people can get the tools to kind of deal with it over the festive season, and so that will be hosted on the last Thursday of November. I will be putting out some communications about that, but if you would like to get involved with it, you're welcome to pop me an email at me@timothystuurman.com.
I thought that was very clever when I heard your email address for the first time. me@timothystuurman.com. Okay. Tim, well done forcing my hand there. This thing is happening the last Thursday of November, so I'm going to have to air this episode then by the weekend. But no, well done, man. Well, you see, I'm learning. I'm how to position oneself. Yeah, Tim, this has been absolutely entertaining. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm so keen to get you back to talk about the value proposition pricing conversation. I'm sure there's just so much passion when I bring up that topic among people such as yourself, and lots to be learned. And so I look forward to having you back for that. But for now, thank you so much for being here. It was so great. It was awesome talking to you. And thanks for coming through.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.